Close the curtains, brew some herbal tea.
Hello everyone, this is Lynn Roberts, Ayurvedic health counselor and clinical herbalist. And today I'm going to walk you through how to make a Cayenne-infused oil at home. So what you will need is some dried cayenne. This can be bought fresh at the store and dried in a dehydrator. It can also be bought at the store in powder form. And what I have here is cayenne that I picked from my garden, dehydrated in my dehydrator, and have here in this jar. And here's some cayenne that I picked fresh out of the garden this morning. In addition, you will need a lid, and I use mason jar, so it's a lid in a band. And you will also need a hot plate. I use a candle or teacup warmer, and it does not have an automatic shutoff, which is important because this is going to be running for about 2 weeks. In addition to the hot plate, you're going to need a oven-safe bowl. This is a simple corral bowl. Everybody has seen these before. And I'm going to use the hot plate and the bowl to infuse the cayenne into a base oil using the hot water bath method, which I'll walk you through in a minute. And lastly, you'll need base oil. I'm using a base oil of olive oil, but you can use grapeseed, you can use coconut, whatever feels best for your skin. I like to use olive oil. If you do use it, make sure to just get plain olive oil, not extra virgin, as extra virgin can go rancid very quickly when we use it for infused oils. Okay, so why are we infusing cayenne into oil? So cayenne is most popularly known as the hot pepper that flavors many cuisines around the world and used in many, many different cultures. And I grow about 10 plants of cayenne a year because it's a very important herb that I use in my herbal practice. And that surprises a lot of people because a lot of people don't know about cayenne's use beyond its cooking uses. And I harvest pounds of cayenne every year, most of which go into my dehydrator. And then once dehydrated, some of them will be tinctured in alcohol to use in drop doses and formulas. Some of them will be powdered and encapsulated so that people can take them as capsules. Some of them will be used fresh or dried and flaked or powdered in cooking, of course. And some of them will be used in a infused vinegar. That's a cold remedy called fire cider. But most of my cayenne peppers actually get dehydrated and infused into an oil like olive oil using this method I'm going to be showing you, so that it can be a massage oil on trauma injuries. Now, cayenne can be infused into oil and used straight, or then converted into a salve or a cream to aid with local pain. What it does is it increases circulation to that area, and it also blocks substance P, which is a neurotransmitter that is responsible for the transmission of pain signals. So cayenne can be helpful for all sorts of local pains, including strains, sprains, general muscle and joint aches, arthritis, and bruises. It can also be effective for nerve pain from things like neuropathy or shingles. If the pain is in the hands, you can actually apply it at night, right before bed, put gloves on, and go to sleep. And in the morning, make sure to take the gloves off and to very thoroughly wash your hands and put those gloves in the washer or save them for another night. Only use cayenne on unbroken skin, as it will really burn on skin with cuts and scrapes. And never use it on mucous membranes. Don't touch your eyes after processing your cayenne oil today, or after cutting it up or using it, of course. And it's important to apply the cayenne oil to an area of your body, either with a cotton round, or if you want to massage it into an area, which is wonderful, just make sure to use rubber gloves before doing so, and then wash your hands anyway immediately afterward, and avoid touching that area and then touching a sensitive place on your body. Just as cow's milk will neutralize cayenne, the heat and spiciness of eating it, it will also help to neutralize any burning you might feel on your area of pain, or if you get it in your eyes or any other sensitive area. So you can keep that close at hand. You can also do a spot test with a little bit of oil on a cotton ball on an area to make sure that your skin agrees with it, as it can be a little irritating, but it really does increase circulation and helps to block the pain signals from that area. So it gives you a little bit of a relief from the pain while helping to increase circulation to heal. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to pause for just a minute while I grind up my whole cayenne here so that we can begin making the oil. Okay, so you can see here that all that whole dried cayenne has been reduced to this after grinding it up. And what I'm going to do is just place it in my clean, sterilized jar. From here, this process is incredibly simple. You're going to slowly fill your jar with your base oil. So I'm filling mine up with olive oil almost to the top. You want to leave a little bit of space. Get this beautiful looking oil already. Put a little bit more in there. A lot of people ask me how much herb you need and how much oil you should use. And there are two main methods of this. You can weigh your you can weigh your cayenne in grams, and then you can multiply that by 5, and that's the milligrams that you should use of your oil. I'm not a math person. I do it that way though, so that I can replicate the exact oil every time I make it, so it's just as effective as the one prior. And I will explain this a little bit more in detail on a future blog and video post. But there's a second way, and this is just the folk herbalism method of doing it, is where you fill your jar halfway up with dried plant material and all the way up for fresh plant material. Only halfway for dried, because it's going to expand when it's fresh. You have it filled all the way up when you add your liquid. Now with oils, we don't typically use fresh plant material because water and oil do not mix, and it goes rancid very quickly unless you process it a certain way. So there are certain herbs such as St. John's wort that are only medicinal when infused into oil fresh or slightly wilted. Cayenne, this is not the case. You should be using dried. So you can fill up, mine was filled a little less than halfway, my jar, and then the rest is filled up with oil. I'm just going to give it a shake to make sure that the oil touches all the areas of cayenne in the jar and that it's not clumping. We don't want to create any dry pockets or air pockets because that can be easily taken over by bacteria. We don't want our precious oil to get moldy, although cayenne is extremely antibacterial to begin with. Okay, so now we have our oil and our dried cayenne, and all we have to do is set up our hot water method, hot water bath method. So here I have my hot plate, I have my oven safe bowl. I'm going to fill up my oven safe bowl about halfway with water. Place it on my hot plate, place the jar in the water. The water should come right up to the rim of the bowl. And I keep this set up right next to my kitchen sink on my counter because about once a day, sometimes twice a day, the water will evaporate away. So whenever I'm in the kitchen and I see that the water is getting low, I just add some more water until it's back to the rim. You don't want the water to completely evaporate. What the hot water bath method does is it makes sure that the cayenne stays between 110 to 120 at most degrees Fahrenheit. We don't want it to get any hotter, but the heat will help to make a strongly infused oil. And some herbs have resins in it that require the oil to be heated to make it effective, to effectively pull the constituents out into the oil. Cayenne is not one of them, but I still use the heated method. I'm going to leave this on my counter for 2 weeks, 14 days, just replacing the water as necessary. Every day I like to take it out, give it a shake, make sure it's not clumping, make sure that all of the cayenne flakes are floating around independently. And then I just leave it alone for 2 weeks. Now to strain it, I usually just pour it through a metal strainer. Because we've ground this down into powder and flakes, you may want to put a cheesecloth inside of your metal strainer, and you can strain it into a amber jar and then store that amber jar in a cool place that doesn't see light. So maybe the back of a cabinet, away from the sun and away from too much heat. And then your oil should last between 6 and 8 months. Usually they last a lot longer if you properly store them. But I have a feeling that you'll be using this oil for any trauma, injuries, any localized pain. Just remember, only use it on unbroken skin. Don't use it on skin that got cut or bruised during the trauma. So thank you so much for joining me. You can read more about cayenne on my blog at ayurvedichealthcounseling.com, and I'll make sure that there is a link attached to this video. Have a wonderful day, and feel free to like or leave a comment asking questions or for clarification. Thanks for watching.